Welcome to GANIT VIDYA, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss about GANIT VIDYA, the divine mathematics, particularly with respect to DIVYANK as such. Let me start with Maharishi Yajnavalkya. I consider him the first genuine spiritual scientist who laid a very good foundation for divine mathematics 5000 years ago. And one thing we appreciate quite a lot about him, he did not believe any human being to be his guru. He believed that only Surya is his guru, Saraswati, Om, and Yat you can see in this picture. So I do believe his recognition of the universal consciousness was his learning concept. And I do believe if we want to understand the universal consciousness, we should see the universal consciousness and all the objects of the entire universe, see their functions, and that will teach you the divine mathematics. Whereas the books and other things made by different people will not give you the impeccable wisdom which is required for the education for the entire world. Now coming to Maharishi Yajnavalkya, I do believe Brahd Aranyaka Upanishad has got three very important prayers like Asto Ma Sadgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityur Ma Atgya. That means lead me from untruth to truth. That's the first thing for anybody. Second thing, lead me from darkness to light is the second very important. And third thing, lead me from death to immortality. Anyone who can think of these three things, from truth, from darkness to light and immortality, you are going to be a great universal consciousness person and understand the divine consciousness completely. And my dharma is to understand these concepts and bring that to the world as a spiritual science research, very subjective, objective, with the evidence which cannot be denied. Now come to the first prayer. Asoma Satgamya, let me lead me untruth to the truth. What does the untruth to truth actually mean? That means the foundation of human mind is truth. Whatever we do should be truthful, truthful and truthful. And the concept of Bhakti Yoga, yoga of devotion, is decided only on truth. If you have devotion, you can be in tune with universal consciousness. The foundation is Bhakti Yoga. Now I do believe Rig Veda is 10th chapter is very, very important, and I am just showing that Asto Sadgame is very particular thing is engraved in that. Takes us to Satya, and that's what we understood. And once we understand that, life becomes very easy. We don't have to remember experienced truth, but untruth has to be remembered, and it's a very tedious job, and everybody is going to get into problem at one stage or other. That is the truth. Now some of the examples of the truth which are very dear to me. Om Tat Sat. Om is the truth which I have always been saying. That very concept of pi is in Om, and I had made that 50 years ago in 1974 itself. And second thing, Satyamev Jayate is the something which is admired by the government of India and the law as such. And Satyam Gyan Mant Brahm, and truthful knowledge is ultimate truth. And Satyam Shivam Sundaram, any person who is perfect, truthful, honest will always be beautiful. Keeping this thing in mind, I do believe first object for anybody and everybody should be truth, truth and truth alone. Now coming to the question of divine mathematics, is the truth which world should know. Maharishi Yajnavalkya has made it very clear that whole thing concept starts from zero. Now I am going to give you few informations which the world talks about it, and everybody say every number divided by the same number is equivalent to 1. This is universally taught. But Purnam particular shlok says that 0 divided by 0 is 0, not 1. I think that is a beautiful concept, that everything starts from 0, is maintained with 0, sustained by 0, will come back to 0, So divine mathematics should start from 0 and then go on exploring one by one. So that is where divine mathematics starts from 0. 0 before any number has no additional value, but 0 added after the number is multiplied by 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, etc., etc. And also I do believe that there are 10.34 spirals of the universal development, which is the law as far as DIVYANK is concerned. Now, this particular shlok is engraved in this particular statement as this shloka, Purnam Adha Purnam Idham Purnam Purnate. That means this is full, that is full, from fullness proceeds full. If we take away fullness from fullness, fullness always. This particular concept of 0 is very much in this particular shlok itself. And having understood that, I can say Akhand, Akhandata is also the same thing. Purnam, Sampurnam, Akhand is in the same line as such. Now the second prayer is Tamsoma Jyotirgami. Tams means darkness. To light is something which, and we do know, unless until we are enlightened with the knowledge of wisdom, we cannot do anything effectively. So that's it. And what is the darkness to light mean? The brilliant light emerged from the darkness is the reality. But what is this darkness all about? And I do know very well all Atma were dark inside. Only when enlightened they become light, and they all started from Shunya itself. That is what the divine mathematics is all about. In Ved also this particular statement is there in the 5th line, as which I underlined that. It starts with tamas and goes on to the light, and once that is understood, I think everything is understood in the process. Now this particular concept is seen that goddess Adi Prashakti is the one which developed the universal consciousness. Everything emerged only from organ 40, and I have already said Nirankar, Nirgun, Brahman, Sakar, Sargun, Brahman, Anubhav, the three are very high. But 4th level Adi Prashakti, when things start manifesting, and that's got 18, organ 40, and Tatriya, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and all the creation started only from Adi Prashakti. And I think this becomes important. From that also, periodic table with 18 groups starts from there only. Now the space before the creation, according to Rig Veda, it was darkness. It was tamas, inertia. And it is said that even God did not know it because they were created afterwards. So second thing is, Maharishi Yajnavalkya says in that particular stroke, space was filled with death, not Shunya alone. So he brought a concept, and I mean he was talking about inert matter, and inert matter as such has a darkness outside and light engraved inside. Only when function comes, the whole thing is enlightened. I think that's also an interesting point. But I have gone on to say inert matter, it is a neon 21, which is the Atma from which the universe was created. I think I have gone and said, so these things make it clear. Space before was darkness in death, and inert matter neon 21. Third thing comes with Mrityorma Amrit Ghamya. From death take me to immortality. And all of us want immortality so that we know each and everything perfectly. So what does the death immortality mean? Mortal human being, death to immortal moksha is what is required so that we know everything. And I, as a Karam Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, then Gyan Yoga, Vigyan Yoga, Pragyan Yoga, and Akhandata is what gives you the Amrit. And I think once that is understood, things would be perfectly fine. And this particular concept is engraved in that particular 10th verse in the 3rd line itself. You read clearly. It's just saying that that particular 10th statement is Nisidhya is very, very enlightening. Now, same statement, Maharishi Yajnavalkya talks about Brahd as there was nothing in the primordial state except the deaths, and from the deaths everything came. What I said earlier is ingrained in this particular thing. How a scientist, a mathematician can objectively say what is required, and that's what I have gone on to say. Darkness to this, to neon 21 is what matters in seeing the light of the world as such and having immortality. Now, from Adi Parashakti, when you come to goddess Gayatri, which is again neon 21, which has got 10 electrons, 10 protons and 11 neutrons. From this the spiral galaxy came, and from which Surya Mandal or the solar system has come, and that becomes the mother of that. Once that is understood, I think life becomes much easier to flow, how to observe nature. And in this particular picture you can see spiral galaxy, there are 10.344, and that is divine mathematics which I am talking about for the first time from 2015. Now come to the question of creation. As I said, neon 21 plus neon 21 got together to produce light of neon 22. Then with the time it went through the stages of evolution to neon 20, and that is what light is all about. You call it Big Bang, you call it evolution, you call it whatever it is. But I do know this is how spiral galaxy was formed, from which our solar system has come as an integral part. Now come to the scientific exploration from Sun 0 to DIVYANK at this particular number. We are going to see how things happen thereafter step by step to come to DIVYANK level from 0. Now, one thing I know very well, when we come to the solar mandal, that means solar system, one element, one divinity, Surya, Aditya is most, and that is Chandogya Upanishad says. All the knowledge of the world is in sun itself. Anyone who can understand sun very clearly and follow that in life, you would be a perfect person altogether. No wonder Maharishi Yajnavalkya was follower of only Aditya, Surya, sun alone. And I also have learnt everything only from sun, and learning what it is done is only from Surya, not from anything. Observing Surya and those 6 more planets, which are 7 days, and of course Navagraha, and of course everything in divine mathematics has made me understand is all in nature. Once you understand that, everything is perfectly clear. Now the concept of 22 by 21 is there in sun itself. I have already said the picture done by the scientists. From North Pole to South Pole it takes 11 days, from South Pole to the North another 11 years. Put together they are 22. Involution is 21, evolution is 22. And once that is understood, we understand how divine mathematics is evolved and seen everywhere. Now come to the question of Aditi, Aditya and Aditi. Rigved says that Daksha the king, and I mean Surya, mother and daughter is Aditi. In Upanishad, Aditya's daughter and mother is Aditi. And you can understand this particular concept is 4 atoms of hydrogen, which I call Aditya, sun, unite together to form helium-4, who becomes Aditya's daughter. Then how helium-4 is further divided to become hydrogen. This process goes on inside the sun, and that is what modern science has made my job easier to explain. Once that is understood, you understand Rigved and Upanishad statement that Aditi is the mother and daughter of Aditya or Daksha as such. I think this is where we need a spiritual science defined in mathematical form. Now, and I do know Surya is the presiding deity of system, but in human soul is Aditi, helium-4, and that is where it cannot be cut, it cannot be burnt, it cannot be dissolved. All the qualities of Sanatana Dharmas of Atma are found in Aditi itself, and of course in Gayatri, and also in Adi Parashakti, more as the neon 21 or argon 40 or helium-4. These are all noble gases. I think this is very, very clear. Once that is done, we do know very well. Rig Veda is talking about all the atom, molecules and everything the way it is required. And Aitreya Upanishad is talking about the formation of Lokpalan, the great Purusha itself. But there is one mysterious thing in that particular Aitreya Upanishad which people have not understood. That Purusha sought the food by out breath apana, which nobody, and I do know it is only through umbilical cord. I think that is something we need to do, and only mathematicians who are in tune with universal consciousness can unfold that wisdom and show to the world this is ultimate wisdom as such. Now coming to that particular state, let's take the mathematics a little further thing. And I know divine mathematics and nature is well known as Aham Brahmasmi. I am like God. That means all the divine qualities are within me. And when you talk of that, it is Antaratma or the helium 4, which is a part of the universal consciousness, is talked about. Human body with soul within the body. This combination is Aham Brahmasmi Advait philosophy. That's it. But there is one statement in Upanishads which is very, very dear to me, is Tat Tvamasi. But unfortunately, Tat Tvamasi is shown like Aham Brahmasmi, which I do not agree with the statement. But I do agree, Tat means divine nature, Tva means everything, Asi means identical. That means every object of the nature is identical. If this is the statement from Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad is true, that every object is identical, everything is similar, so then there should be a divine mathematics as such, and that is what I am slowly, step by step moving towards that. Let us unfold, recognize, conceive and reveal the divine design of nature, Divyank, as such. Now come to the question of the particular soul has got into the fetus, and the fetus further has DNA. But the DNA which makes perfect is not what Watson Crick, for which they got Nobel Prize, but this particular thing based on Divyank alone is the perfect one, which I am going to now show in the next. What are the beautiful things in this particular DNA which makes us identical? So literally what I have seen in spiral galaxy to solar system to the human body, and particularly DNA itself, which is the blueprint for everything in the body. Now I am going to explain Divyank B double helix design as such. The width is 21, which is part of Divyank, and each strand is 22 angstrom. The number of strands is 0.34419, height is 33.9854, and minor groove is 12, major groove is 22, and 2 sugar phosphate chain opposing and 3 and 5 is also with Divyank, and central adenine and thymine group is 1, guanine and cytosine is another group, and the binding chains of 2 hydrogen is between adenine and thymine, and binding chain of 3 hydrogen is between guanine and cytosine. That is very interesting design, which is again reflects on Divyank only. Now I am going to show you something much more interesting in human dialects. The first line of adenine and thymine, the number of protons is 136. 70 plus 66 you can see very clearly. 136 protons in the first line. You go to the second line, the cytosine and guanine, and very interesting, it is 78 plus 58 is again 136. You can imagine how beautifully the nature has designed. This particular concept was never recognized by anybody, including Watson and Crick. And that is what we know to go, and that is what Rig Veda is talking about. That is what Upanishads are talking about. We need to go to that level and show the world there is a divine mathematics everywhere. Once that is understood, we can make new educational books, whether it's maths, physics, chemistry, medical sciences and others. And I am concerned only about that knowledge which is absolute. I am not concerned about other knowledges, because we don't get divine mathematics there, because nature is divine in mathematics, science is mathematics, and let's concentrate on that. Now come to the question. There is a new addition which I have made, Khandoma Akhandgamya. That means what is disintegrated, let it be integrated. So all what the three great prayers are summed into this to take it to the level so that we could be one with universal consciousness as such. Now, my integrated play is Khandoma Akhandgame. Lead me from disintegration to integration. What does disintegration integration mean? There are 64 different arts and sciences in the universe. We should know all the sciences and know the impeccable wisdom of 64 arts and sciences. Only then we can understand the universal consciousness. Understanding one subject alone will not give you impeccable wisdom. So we need to understand every aspect of nature from beginning to the end, from Shunya to Divyank. Once that is done, I think we can be very clear this is the divine design of nature. Now, I am going to show you the different levels that manifestation is. First thing, I have talked about Akhand Brahmand. That means from pole star to the center of the sun. The shape is in 22/7 alone, which is like a pie. It's not surprising this particular shape of Shivling. It represents the universal soul. No wonder Lord Shiva is definitely called the Lord of dissolution and regeneration. Ends with it and starts with it, and it becomes beginning to the end. And I think that is 22, and that's what comes to the stage that pi by and large 22/7 is the answer, and is equivalent to 3.142857 only, not any other number which others talk about it. Now I am trying to be very specific to the description of the numbers in infinite thing, not but 1 3.142857 alone. Beyond that, nothing. 6 digits only. Now this is same thing in Shivling. I say same thing. Design shows how we can proceed further to go to the next level one by one. And finally coming to this stage, same thing is found in this, and I think we will discuss it now. Now, some essence of the whole thing is, now we are talking about divine mathematics. To come to the stage, we have come to Divyank. But how I proceed? So far, pi 22/7 equivalent to 3.14285 is known. But what other descriptions we see in the divinity and the world as such? We are going to see the next one. We are definitely going to see what Fibonacci sequence, and then to golden ratio, and then go to other stage step by step, and then show that how beautiful is the human body, how beautiful is the system, how perfect we are, what knowledge is required. And once that is understood, I think we are clear to think we need divine mathematics perfect with Divyank, then re-research in physics, chemistry and medical sciences, and show the world this is what is required for every child, every student, every researcher, every author through the world. The uniformity, not of the language, not of the subject which we have today, there is no consistency at all. We need consistency, and this is what it is. And having done that, thank you very much.